My skin is black.
What you looking
My
at?
skin
Yeah,
is black.
I feel so good to be black right now.
is black.
Welcome to episode 120 of the Black in Fashion podcast. I know you guys have missed us a couple weeks, took a little break, but now it's time to get it back popping. I hope you guys have caught up on all the different episodes that we have. Make sure you send in your black notes. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your feedback. We want to talk to you, and also just lend some advice to all of these amazing different creatives in the world. And you never know who can actually benefit from your story, So share your story, share your highs, your lows. They can be submitted anonymously, and you never know how your story may actually help another individual. So today, I am joined with Jazmin of Art. Say hi, Jazmin.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, let me get into Jazmin's bio because it's dope, okay? So, striving to push the style agenda with disruptive conversation starting products. Art was built on the back of a hustler, a dreamer, a tastemaker, and now the culture of undeniable and impressive women in the pivotal catalyst of its growth. The visionary and creator of the brand, Jazmin, has an impressive background in fashion marketing, specializing in high-profile and luxury brands. Art was brought to fruition in 2018 in her Harlem apartment from a desire to make space for herself in the industry on her own terms. She has created a brand motivated by Black women who take up space and design with quality, style, and budget in mind. Their standout shoes are the topic of conversation as women are celebrated with the product offerings that are loud, proud, and accessible. Boom. Boom. I love that.
That was great. Thank you.
Not a problem. So before we get into any episode, I like to start with a little icebreaker, especially because I know you're a style maven. So it's called This or That. So you're just going to tell me something that you like over the other. Okay? So here we go. Skinny leg or wide leg?
Wide leg.
Side boob or under boob?
Under boob.
Studs or hoops?
Studs.
Fedoras or berets?
Ooh, fedoras. That's a good question. Fedoras.
And last but not least, a wedge or a mule?
I'm going to go with mule because that is Archie's bestseller right now.
I heard that. Okay, amazing. So if you just want to start by telling us just a little bit about your background, I know you grew up did you grow up in Harlem, or did everything just, the apartment started in Harlem? I just want to know where you're from, where you got your inspiration from, and let's start there.
Sure. So, no, I didn't grow up in Harlem. I actually grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and I moved to New York for college.
Gotcha.
And so my apartment came post-college, and I moved to Harlem. I love Harlem. And that is where the idea of Arch NYC was birthed. And background. So, like I said, I went to school at LIM College in New York.
I went there too. That's why I moved. I moved to New York in 2014 when I was 25, and I went to LIM to get my master's actually. And I also moved to Harlem. And I also moved to Harlem on 139th and Lenox.
Wow, I was on 135th.
Oh no.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I loved it there. I didn't actually move to 135th until 2016. I was on 96th.
Oh, you was not about a park.
Yes,
okay.
I was on the east side of Harlem for a long time when I first moved to New York.
Nice.
But yeah, I moved to 135th once I graduated. But that's so funny. Yeah, I love LIM. I contribute a lot of what I've done so far, or what I was doing, to LIM. I think it's a great school. I'm always gonna cape for them. I really am. So it's so funny that you went there. But when I moved, I went to LIM and I started interning. I interned probably every year that I was there. Mm-hmm. And then I started working after I graduated in fashion corporate. And so I had the opportunity to work for brands like Chanel and Burberry, Kate Spade, Calvin Klein. And
I worked for Calvin Klein too.
Wow.
Yeah, handbags.
I'm really surprised that we never crossed paths prior to this.
Right. I know, right. I worked in Calvin Klein handbags, so I worked for G3 because they had the handbag license.
Okay, so I did Calvin Klein jeans, but the women's jeans were licensed through G3. So I did work with the G3 team. I was emailing them all the time.
Nice, though.
That's funny. Small world. Fashion is a small world, though.
It is.
So yeah, but that's kind of where my start happened with fashion corporate and everything. And I was just running into a lot of layoffs and not moving as fast as I wanted to, not growing the way that I wanted to at companies for various reasons, But I think what I noticed the most was that I was a young Black girl and I was overlooked a little bit. And so I started Arch really out of wanting to carve my own space in the industry. Like, it really started from like wanting control, and being able to be as creative as I wanted to be, being able to call the shots and move up, be the CEO of my own company, because it felt like every time it was time for me to be promoted or, get a raise or something, it was always some, can we cuss on your show? Some BS, I should say. Coming along with it. And so that's when Arch started. I actually started Arch in 2018, and I started it as a white label company. So what people today call wholesaling, when you are purchasing inventory that's already created, and I was just customizing it, like, changing the colors or changing the heel height or adding this and adding that. And it was good. It was good to start there because my background in fashion was business, not design. Gotcha. And so it gave me kind of like a good context into that part of the industry. But then quickly I was like, I want to create my own stuff. I want my designs to be one of a kind, like I described them, conversation starting. And that really comes from putting a shoe on a person's foot, woman's foot, that if they walk into a room and they don't know anybody, or they walk into a room and they don't feel like they know what to say to start the conversation, the first thing someone will say is like, oh, I love your shoes. And then from there, that's your icebreaker. That's your way in to have whatever conversation that might be. And that's me thinking of, again, my background at LIM, always networking and always being in a crowd of people. And it's how do you stand out from the other 300 girls in here that's trying to get an internship or a job or a connection. And so that's where most of that stems from.
Nice. It sounds like you're young. Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 27. I turned 28 soon, so
nice.
I might have a little bit of a baby voice, but
you do. It's
a banana peel to 30 over here. So.
Gotcha. Love that. I see why we can cross paths, because when I went to LIM, I was in my master's program, so I'm a little bit older than you. I'm 33. Okay. So that's probably why. And when I worked at G3, it was like 2016, probably when you were still in school.
I was just graduating. Yep. In 2016, I was working for Kate Spade, so I wasn't at Calvin Klein yet.
Gotcha. It makes sense. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your transition from, creating wholesale then get into like the product development process when you're making your own. Did you have to start like USA bound? Did you start like doing your things overseas? Like, what did that process look like for you?
Yeah, so no, I started overseas. That took a while. That was not a quick process, I have to be honest. And I actually started it right before the pandemic hit. Gotcha. So it has not been the process that I think most designers have, because I've been dealing with COVID during the process. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But so what I did was actually I went to an event in Brooklyn for shoe designers, and there was a company there that is a product development company. And so I worked really closely with them, and they are kind of like my liaison between me and the overseas of the factories, because they had already established the relationships. And so instead of me researching factories and finding them, on my own, I teamed up with them for them to find factories that fit my aesthetic, that fit, what I was trying to do with the brand, fit my MOQs, fit the type of shoe that I was trying to make. And so they helped kind of bridge that connection.
Yeah. What's the name of this company?
This is Shoe Girl Studio. I still work really closely with them. And they are currently my full-time product development team. They help me produce all of my shoes. And again, they've been like a really huge help, because my background was not design, it was business.
Gotcha.
And so to have this bridge kind of, expedite the opportunity to be working with factories in Spain and Greece, where else am I right now? Brazil and a few other places, you know, that was just like a really great stepping stone in the path of Arch.
I love that. And you said it's called Shoe Girl Company?
Shoe Girl Studio.
Shoe Girl Studio. It's funny because what you just described, I never heard of Shoe Girl Studio. That's what I do. But I do it for apparel. I do it for apparel and accessory. I own a company called LC Apparel Consulting. And that's what we do. And we work with factories. But a lot of the stuff we do is USA bound. So we do a lot of manufacturing here because we're working with new designers. So a lot of the factories we use are in New York, LA, Dallas, Atlanta, and we do all of the pattern making, sample making, fabric sourcing in-house. And then when they're ready for production, we decide, what, depending on their pricing strategy, what's the best place to take them? Should they go to our Mexico factories, our domestic factories, our Italy, all of those too. So that's very interesting. I had never heard of Shoe Girls because we don't do shoes. We only do apparel and accessories.
Mm-hmm. Well, shoes is so expensive in the U.S. Like,
yeah, I can bet.
If I got my shoes made in the U.S., I would have to charge so much for them. And my whole pricing structure is really based around women being able to afford luxury. Mm-hmm. And not that I'm saying that we can't, because, surely my target customer can, but it's just about not having to spend $1,000 every time they want a nice pair of quality shoes,
right?
And they want a luxury experience, and they want a brand name that is of the best quality. Mm-hmm. Because I just feel like when I started Arch, and even now more so then, I'm in a place in life where it's like, I don't want to buy fast fashion stuff. Like,
absolutely.
I want to buy quality pieces. I want to build my wardrobe. I'm buying stuff that's less trendy and more specific to my style, stuff that I would put on in 5 years and still be like, oh yeah, I love that. Like, I love that bag. I love that pant. Like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where Arch comes from. And that's why I build it overseas, because I can get it made still in the best quality, but a little bit less expensive than it would cost to get it made in the U.S. Yes. If it was being made in the U.S., then it would be up there with the St. Laurents and,
definitely.
And price point.
What was going overseas? Did you have to have was there an MLQ that you had to stick to, or was there no MLQ?
No, every factory has a different MLQ, and I negotiate my MLQ. Like, if they are allowing me to keep it low, I'll keep it low, because my whole thing is curated collections of footwear. And so, not that I want it to be an experience where it's like you can't get it, because I hate that. I'm so against shopping experiences where it's like you have to rush, and it's like at 12:01 it's sold out and it came out at 12 o'clock. Like, I can't with that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Being a small business, being an emerging brand, I'm happy to have smaller quantities, because not only does it allow me to test new product, but it allows me to bring other product in more colors, and more frequently, especially now that COVID is I won't say slowing down, but at least the factories are opening back up. I'm not facing as many delays. So like new product can start to drop a lot more consistently than it originally was and has been.
Dope. Yeah. A lot of the factories and of course the USA ones, they don't have, for apparel at least, they don't have no order minimum. So all the factories I work with don't have no MLQ. And the one shoe factory that I do work with in LA, they are the only person that has a 250 MLQ, which is so annoying, and I have not been doing it.
And that's really high. That's really high.
That's way too much.
250 of one pair of shoes, especially for an emerging brand, it's like, I don't know. I think sometimes factories have to think about who they're working with. And
exactly.
When they're accepting to work with you, they should consider where you are in business.
Absolutely.
I would never encourage anybody to set an order of 250.
Yeah.
Of one shoe of one color, maybe 250 if you can break it up between 2 or 3 colorways. But one color, one shoe, I don't know. That's really tough. And
never.
I don't consider you an emerging brand, like you are of the Calvin Kleins of the world. Like sometimes Calvin Klein places orders for 250 of stuff.
That's absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. That is definitely it. It's surprising. Like I would say, when you were going through your development process and stuff like that, because you already had a business background, that you already have like your sales strategy, your distribution plan. Did you already have a lot of those things already set in place, or did you build it alongside them, like doing the manufacturing at the same time?
No, I did not have any of that in place. Honestly, I don't know how much I planned before I launched. I thought that when I launched it, I had planned so much, but once I launched it, I was like, dang, I should have waited 2 more years. Because I was like going through the punches so hard. And I mean, nobody on the outside knew that, but like I'm like if anybody came to me, I was like, I want to start a business, and I was like, your business should be planned to the T. I mean, like 3 years out, you should have all of your plans together, because I didn't. But I think it speaks to my experience. Like, I needed to fumble through everything, so that now I know where I stand. Now I'm like, offering the product at the market in the way that I want to. But I definitely did not have the sales strategy or the distribution strategy or any of that figured out. I don't know. I think it was 2018. I was young. I had some money saved up. My mom gave me some money. My parents gave me some money to invest in the business. And I was like, boom, I got it. I got my shoes. I got my packaging. I got my Instagram, my website. It's
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Like, very quickly was I like,
But you definitely would say that you need to have that stuff from the get-go. Because I find that, working with small designers, that's what I do. Like, let me give you some statistics real quick. You're going to probably be wowed. In the last 2 years, I have done product development for 325 Black brands.
Wow.
And that's the whole process, like pattern making, sample making, all that stuff. Out of those 325, girl, I may have 12 that actually went into manufacturing. So that's where it's like, you get a lot of people who they want to sample, and they're not necessarily prepared to do anything, especially the manufacturing costs, the marketing costs, the PR costs, the website costs, and I'm constantly, trying to share information with designers, and, I'm very vocal about, like, you got to do this first, you got to do that first. But I find that sometimes is it that, we so in our head and we just push into, like, just get something out right away, and then we don't think about the other factors, So did you ever find yourself throughout the process just getting, like, really, like, antsy about it? Like, I need to do this, I need to do that. Like, did you give yourself, like, really, like, distinct time frames and stuff? Or did you just, like, let things flow the way they flow?
So it honestly took me to get through my first year in business and for the pandemic to hit for me to realize what I really wanted out of my brand. When I got to a point where footwear was not moving because footwear was not essential, like people were not buying if it was not toilet paper, and I realized that my product was sitting still, that's when I was like, okay, I realize now that I want my own designs. I realize now that I do want this to be like my career, my namesake. Like, this is my legacy. Like, I do want this to be my real business. I want to quit my full-time job and I want to focus on this. When I first started it, I don't know that I had all of that thought out. For me, in that moment, like I said, it was really about control. I wanted to control how my money came in and how I was like, it was that. So it kind of grew and what's the word I'm looking for? Transition from a place of like, I want control of my life to like, okay, this is going to be my legacy. And so it took me to get to that space of really knowing what I wanted from the business to then be able to be like, okay, now what's the strategy? Now where do you want the brand to be? What retailers are you interested in? What PR team makes sense? What PR strategies make sense? What's your distribution look like? How many MOQs are you actually going to do? Because when you're white labeling, I could have ordered as low as 10. Mm-hmm. And so I could have had 10 of one pair, 20 of another pair. Whereas when you are producing, and now we're talking materials and we're talking expenses and costs and having to pay factories, they're not even going to look at you if I call them and I say I have a 10 quantity order. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yes, to your first question, I would suggest for everybody to have that thought out. But I think it's about where you are when you're starting. Like I said, I was young. My background was business, not design. And I was just like, I just want my own brand. I want to start my own business because I want to get paid on my own terms. And I want to be in control, and all these creative ideas that I have, I need to dump it somewhere. And I looked around my room one day, like, what can I sell people? What would they believe me? What would they believe in me for? And I came up with shoes because my shoe closet was crazy before I started my brand. Now, don't really buy heels that are not mine.
Thanks.
But I feel like I'm cheating when I do that, so I don't do that too often. Although there are some really great shoes, and there are some Black owned shoe brands that I do want to patronize and wear. But for the most part, yeah, I only wear my shoes. But yeah, it took me some time to get there. It took me to have like my vision very clear in order to do that, and that's why now I encourage people to have all of that figured out, because fumbling through it, I mean, it speaks to your tenacity and your story, and it's nice to see the growth projection of you and your brand. But why you got to start there? You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. Like, why go through the struggle if you don't have to, you know?
Exactly. And I would like to thank friends around me and people around me that have started businesses after me have learned that, like, okay, let me have all my ducks in a row. And I encourage them, you know, to have all their ducks in a row. Like, they don't need to do it. They don't need to struggle like I did. And I wouldn't even say struggle. I was just fumbling through it, you know, like rolling with the punches. It was a learning experience.
Gotcha.
I don't regret it. I'm just, you know.
Are you still based in New York, or did you go back to Baltimore?
So I'm in Maryland right now, post-pandemic, just because it didn't make sense to be in New York. And I'm still working. So my office is closed. I work remotely. And so it didn't really make sense to be there, but I am back and forth in New York a lot because I shoot there all the time. Most of my connections are there. I do foresee me being back in New York in some capacity in the future because I do want to have my first store there. And so I have to be there for that to happen. And we're doing some events this year with the brand, and those events are going to take place in New York as well. So
nice.
I'm not done there. I'm not done.
Love that. So can you tell me about, I have this little segment, it's called It's a Success, It's a Disaster. Can you tell me about maybe a story where, you know, something went completely to shit, but you learned something from it and it made you adapt a new practice into your business?
Yes. So I had a product that was supposed to come out, and we placed a ton of quantities in it. It was probably one of my largest quantity placed based orders. And we got the product and it was faulty.
Okay.
And there was nothing that we could do about it. They didn't fix it. They weren't trying to help us. It was a dead end. And so you can imagine how much money I lost on both ends. One, investing in it, and two, not being able to sell it to recoup, because I didn't want to sell faulty product. I very well could have, but imagine how many returns I would have fumbled through.
Right.
And so I didn't do that. But one thing that taught me was, if there are red flags in the factory, get out of the factory. Like, I'm a one strike shawty now. Like, it's one red flag and I'm good on it, because it's too expensive and I'm too committed. I'm too dedicated. My customers are too loyal and too watching too much for me to be out here with faulty product on somebody else's end. And it also is about that factory standards, and that is something that changed for me, because for them it was fine. For them, they were like, these are sellable, and I'm like, to who?
Right.
For $250, to who?
Right.
Because I'm screaming that it's quality. I'm screaming that it's luxury. And y'all got fabric coming up, raveling up out the back. The strap is falling off. You know, like, it's like, so that was a hard thing for me. I'm still swallowing that pill. My mama's still swallowing that pill because she heard about it. Like, you know, that was a big blow to my business. Because that product did not come out, which meant that now my collection was short. Which meant that I'm losing money, because I had planned for that product to sell through, right, to then pay for the next collection. So that was a huge monkey wrench. And we are still feeling that, because it was, I put my trust in that company.
Right.
And for them to have ghosted me is like,
really? They ghosted you?
Yeah, they ghosted me.
What country?
This was Greece.
Greece, okay.
And that was my fault, because I had trusted that a contract was in place. I had trusted that these things was in tic-tac, and it just wasn't. On the back end, it turned out that things had not been signed. They had not been sent back. They had not been, and that was a misstep on my part, because as an owner, that should have been my first responsibility. But I'm so busy, I'm controlling social, I'm controlling design, I'm controlling PR, I'm doing 50 hats. I'm wearing 50 hats. I'm doing 50 jobs, and it slipped. And because of that, I wasn't protected, and they effed me. And so, that was a slip. That was a disaster.
Yeah, but every disaster, and that's why I like asking this question, is because every disaster is a learning opportunity. Every time something messes up, like within your business, like you either grow from it or you let it, and take over you, and then you get sad about it, you sulk about it. That's like it's good to hear that like I felt it. I'm recuperating from it, and you figured out a pivot. Like you pivoted and you just figured out something else and you ran with that, but not to hold on to the weight of like mistakes that we make throughout our business, especially in the beginning stage, especially as a Black-owned business. Like, we're great at the creative side, but the business side and like some of the contracts and just wearing so many hats, it distracts us at times, and it's like you got so much and so overwhelming that it can be very, very hard. So I can tell you, I'm right there with you, sis.
No, yeah, totally. And believe me when I say like I'm hoping and I'm manifesting, praying that on the back end we're gonna look at that in a few years and be like, oh, that couple $1,000s, that we gonna be all right. You know what I mean? Like I'm hoping that that's gonna come back tenfold, and I do hope that they get their jeopardy, their karma, because
absolutely
they knew what they had done. So that was definitely my biggest disaster to date.
Gotcha. Well, I feel like that was it. Like, and what you did to recover, like what you did to, like what you learned from it, and you learned to just stay on top of everything, right?
Yeah, stay on top of everything. Definitely up your standards when it comes to your factories. Definitely listen to your gut, your intuition, because I had people that in place like, it's okay, let's just finish with them. It's okay, let's just finish with them. And it was like, the thing is, they weren't okay, and that wasn't the first red flag, but I was just trying to make it work because I had already given them everything. And if you are working in footwear, like you already have all my materials. You have my last, you have my heel, you have my soles, you have everything. If I pick up right now, I lose 8-9 months of work, and footwear works on a 12 to 18 month time frame.
Right.
So like right now, I've designed all the way through summer of 2023, and if I don't start fall of 2023 in the next month or two, I'm late.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's like I was at a place where it was go through it and have them, hopefully figure it out, or don't and have nothing right now. So another thing I would suggest is not putting all your eggs in one factory basket. So now I have diversified my factories. I have certain factories doing boots. I have certain factories doing slippers. I have certain factories doing heels. And that's just, just diversify. Don't have all your eggs in one basket, because, even if it's not an example or a situation like that, COVID alone, that factory shutting down for weeks at a time, and then what do? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. I think that's the best to do, like never put all your eggs in one basket. Definitely have your standards all together and stuff like that. But in your business too, like you don't always, I ain't gonna say always, but mistakes is gonna occur, and things are gonna change, and then it's gonna make you change your perspective. Like I feel like we in the same time frame, my business grew a lot during the pandemic too. I literally went from me being in my house, and I live in Brooklyn, being in the front room of my house, making stuff, for people, trying to help people with, product development and production, just because of me. Same story as you, like working in the industry, having the contacts, being able to do it, being able to manufacture stuff. And then literally, I want to say in like 4 or 5 months, I had a team of 10, and I moved to a commercial space, so 10 employees. And then I moved to another commercial space because, we got so many clients in. And then I had 12 employees. And then now I have 3, girl. And I have cut my team in half because I thought, oh, yes, the business is growing. I need more help. I need more people. And I lost sight of quality within it because I'm so focused on what you said, the marketing, the PR, the social, like staying on top of that I'm not heavily inside of the business seeing what's going on. And at the end of the day, it's my name, this is my business, this is my brand, and I hired all these people, that's supposed to do right and supposed to do their job, and they wasn't. And I didn't see it. But it's like now we having to, like, some of them left on their own. Some people are furloughed, and I'm just like, I gotta start over because I got a lot of clients that's now not paying. At the end of the year, I'm like $50,000 in the hole, and that being $50,000 in the hole, people not paying their invoices. They're not happy with the way their projects is going, or they're not being communicated with, or something is not right. They're getting discouraged. All these things, and I'm just like, what the fuck did I do? Like, I wasn't paying attention. Like, I wasn't looking at, like, inside to make sure that things were right. I'm not checking in with the clients and having to rebuild and having to, like, change up my, the way I do things and clients like that. So I still got all these damn clients because this project was not getting done. And being on the time frame, like, I like that you mentioned that, as far as, like, the way shoes work, clothes is tighter. You got to get clothes, within, like, a 6-week turnaround time, Yeah. And then that product development process is only supposed to be like 4 to 6 months is like typically what I say to clients and stuff like that. Like, it could be 6 months plus, and it's been 6 months plus a lot. But I got clients that I'm still developing product for. Girl, they've been with us almost 2 years. Now that makes no sense. So it's like, why did it get here? How did it get here? And, I like what you said, like, encouraging people to, like even small business owners, like, stay inside of it. Like, I feel like for me, I tried to grow the business too fast, and it was so fast I was keeping up instead of just honing in and not offering so many services, not taking as many clients in, and having, like, a smaller, like, more knit team, and not putting all my eggs in one basket. Like, I'm counting on these people to get stuff done and factories to get stuff done. And of course, I've expanded and I have way more factories and many more resources now. But it's all, like, just a learning, even, like, having employees, which is, like, a big learning experience for me too.
Right. But you know what? That's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, because on one side of it, you need those people. You needed those people. Like, I have a tendency to always be outsourcing for things, and it's probably happening a little bit faster than my business is growing. But I need those people. I need those things because I truly believe that those things push growth. I believe that those things propel the business forward. I believe that those things allow me to focus on what I find to be most important, which is designing. Right? Because if the product isn't good, then none of those other things matter. But if I can't focus on designing, and I'm late picking materials, and I'm late picking colors, and I'm having a hard time being creative because I'm worried about the social media calendar, you know what I mean? So I get needing those people. I get putting that trust in these other people in order to grow your business. So I think, to your point, and not necessarily being that you wasn't paying attention, but it just got a little bit quick. It just got fast. And I also think I'm also a fan of giving ourselves grace, giving Black women grace, giving Black business owners grace, because it's hard. And
girl,
the jump to even begin it, to even put it out there, to even have something that you are so passionate about and is so near and dear to your heart, because be clear, like, this is our creativity. This is near to us. What
absolutely.
Miss Badu say? I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my stuff.
Shit, yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so I like to give us grace because the rest of the world does not.
Yeah,
and they don't believe that we can make a mistake, and they don't believe that we can be late, or that something could be delayed, or that why they didn't do this, and this quality was terrible with this, and.
And I found myself trying, like, not to take it personal, like, I feel like that's constantly me, because I'm helping so many people, and I got so many projects, and I feel like, every time somebody says something to me that, is rude or mean or something like that, I get in defense mode sometimes, and I'm just like, I'm doing everything I can, like, I'm trying, I'm like, I'm trying to take designer dreams and bring them to life. Like, I work with a lot of people who don't have a design background. So, like, my bachelor's is in design and fashion design, and then my master's is in fashion management and marketing. And trying to take someone that's not necessarily creative and really be able to capture what it is like in their brain is not an easy task. So, I feel like I'm constantly fighting with some of these emerging designers about, I'm like, this is the process. And then keep in mind, every time you make a change, every time you make an alteration, like, we got to go back. We got to go back and fix that pattern. We might have to go back and source a new material. Like, I just, like, it's so hard to, like, even get them to see, like, yo, this is a lot of work too. Like, making clothes, and I make bags too. That's a lot of work, and I don't feel like they, as small emerging designers, like the way I give them grace, I'm like, take your time. Sometimes they got to take a step back and think. Like, I need some time to think about this or that, and I give them time to think. But then, like, if I'm delayed, or like a factory is late because I'm managing the factories for them, then it's like hell over water, and you get called all type of names and this, and you incompetent in this, and I'm just like, but without me, you wouldn't even have this. I can look at something and be able to construct it and put it together and create an entire business and manufacturing for you, and help you with your marketing, your PR, your design development, and manufacturing, and get your costs down. And when I tell you, I get a thank you very rarely, very rarely.
Yeah, and you know what? To that point, I would suggest, having a different standard when it comes to your clients.
For sure. I changed that. Oh, girl. Ooh, and I tell you, I changed that. Honey, my cheapest package is $9,000 now to do the product development and the consulting. And it doesn't matter whether you got bags or clothes, it's the cheapest one because it takes that amount of work for me to educate you and do the services for you.
Yeah, because, it's unfortunate that it's gotten to a place where people are, everybody messes up. Like, I get upset with my product development team, and they know that. And I come to them, and I'm like, you know what? If I'm being transparent, I'm frustrated, and, but it's never to a place where professionalism is lacked or, disrespect occurs or anything like that. So I totally feel for you there, and I'm sorry that happened to you.
Hey, girl, I'm used to it now.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though? Like, again, business is small. Don't burn the bridge. Like,
right, true.
The fashion industry is so small. You should, nobody should ever be burning no bridges like that.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely right. Now, so tell me, out of the collections, what's your favorite shoe and why?
Oh, wow.
I know it's probably hard to pick one. I need you to pick just one.
Just one, right?
Just one is your favorite.
Also released
everything, literally everything, the shoe that's coming, that's past or present. What's your favorite?
Okay. Coming, I would say. So I'm releasing our next collection is releasing in July. And this collection, there is going to be this slingback with this really special build on the sole of it. And I am really excited about that because that is going to be what I'm hoping, fingers crossed, is going to be my red bottom. It's my Birkin. It's going to be, my Manolo. Because I haven't seen that before. I've seen other interpretations of it, but not this one. And I'm really hoping that that's my shoe. That's her standout shoe. We know when we see that whose brand that is. And I understand if it doesn't happen in July, but I plan to have that shoe in my collections for quite some time to come. And I plan to reiterate it with boots and other silhouettes.
It's your staple, some of your staple pieces.
Yes, that is going to be a core. That's going to be a core staple shoe, and that is my favorite. I haven't told anybody the name. I'll tell you the name. It's called.
Oh, this is an exclusive. Okay.
Yeah, it's an exclusive. It's called Love Struck, and so I am really excited about that shoe. That shoe came to me, and I had to figure out how to draw it out and get it the way I wanted. And the funny thing is, it didn't start this way. It started a completely different way, but it has evolved into this design that I love very much. Me and my team worked really hard on that, and everybody who has been involved has been working really hard on getting it crafted because I was very specific, and we had to run through it multiple times, even down to last week. They were ready to pull the green light on it, and I was like, no, do it one more time. So I added 3 more days onto my timeline, but yeah, I'm excited about that one. That's
amazing. That's dope. I was looking on your site. I'm like, we need to do a collaboration because I make, outside of my consulting business, I make handbags. And I make a handbag, too, in the exact same orange that mule is in. And mine is Italian leather, and it's a crossbody, and it converts to a clutch as well. And I got a one-arm tote that converts to a clutch as well. One of them is Italian embossed suede, and the other one is a cowhide leather.
Oh yeah, we should definitely discuss it. I tiptoeing into bags very slowly. Not something that I had planned to release anytime soon, but I am obsessed with novelty bags. And if I decided to do bags, they would all be novelty. It's so funny because the brand Judith Lieber. She has a ton of novelty bags that are really awesome. They're very beautiful, and I love them. Kate Spade is also really known for novelty bags. But yeah, I would love to chat with you about that and just hear your experience more. I know the BNF people probably know all about that. So
No, I don't think they do.
oh, okay.
That is okay though. But whenever you want to do bags, girl, holler at me. I have a bag manufacturer that I use right here in the U.S. You can make one, or you can make 5,000 if you want to, and they're right here in the garment district. Because I make travel bags too, so I make like book bags and duffels and totes and stuff. But
Nice.
if you ever want to tap into that handbag world, I got you.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
All right, so before we get up out of here, I have one more segment. It's called It's Amused. Is there anything that you'd like to share with our audience, that whether it's an affirmation, a book, a ritual, anything that keeps you motivated and keeps you going throughout your entrepreneur journey?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being completely transparent with you and your audience, anybody listening, entrepreneurship is hard. And that's not something that somebody told me before starting. I learned that once I was in both feet. I am surrounded by entrepreneurs. My mother is an entrepreneur. Some of the closest people to me are entrepreneurs, and it's gonna be difficult. There are gonna be hard days. You also gotta give, like I keep saying, you gotta give yourself grace. We're in a pandemic. The world is crazy. They had us in the house for 2 years, and then they're trying to pull us back out the house. Consumer behavior has changed. People are looking at stuff different. It's so much that goes into it. You just got to give yourself grace. Be patient with yourself. If it's a day where you can't open that computer, you can't get to it, the next day is a new day. And I mean that because that's something that, your creativity goes out. You are tired. You're drained. Mental health is I believe it's Mental Health Awareness Month too. Mental health is so important, and sometimes it's just not going to happen for you. And I say all that to say, keep pushing though. Like,
keep pushing.
You started this for a reason. Like, find your why, find your purpose. What's driving you? Like, what pushes you? What motivates you? Some of the things that I have to do is I have to work late sometimes. Like, sometimes I don't start until 8 p.m. because I just wasn't feeling it during the day. But like, I'll work from 8 p.m. and I'll be up all night, and maybe I'll sleep the whole next day. But that work got done. Like, it don't always have to be get up at 6. Like. If you can't pick it up until 8 p.m., fine. And then, bust it out 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., whatever it looks like. It doesn't have to go by anybody else's rules. It doesn't have to be on anybody else's time or anybody else's schedule. And it doesn't certainly have to be on anybody else's mission and strategy and playbook, because it's all going to be different. Like, my background was not design. And, there are things that I'm still learning because of that, but I most definitely plan to be a household true brand name, regardless of that. My background is just different. My start was different, and I think that's okay. I think as far as books, because I have been trying to challenge myself to read one book a month for almost a year and a half at this point, and I'm not doing well.
Give yourself grace.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. But one book that I just finished, I think I finished it like at the end of February. It's called Bamboozled by Jesus by Yvonne Orji. She's Molly from Insecure.
Yes, I love her.
That book, I read that book one chapter every morning. And that pushed me. That book helped me get through a lot of design work, a lot of, emails and playing the other roles and other hats, because it was just encouraging. It was motivating. It was just somebody breathing life into you, pouring into you. And I think as entrepreneurs, I need that. I know, like, obviously we looking for sales and we're looking for bottom line, but you need somebody to be pouring into you with an encouraging word. And Molly did that for me, or Yvonne, I should say, did that for me with that book. So I would suggest for anybody to read that. That's probably my top motivating book at this moment.
Amazing. And last but not least, if you could just let us know any promotional, any events, anything that's coming up for you that you just want to share, and the best place to contact you and how to stay connected with you.
Sure. So, Arch is, like I said, we are releasing our new collection in July. We do have our Moscow Mules, which is our bestseller, out right now. I have slippers out right now. Love the slippers. They're super cute. They come in cow print, pink, and in green. Those are 15% off right now. They're 15% off from now until Sunday, May 8th, Mother's Day. And, I've been pushing those as great Mother's Day gifts. I have some people getting their moms a pair because they have a pair and they love them. You can keep up with Arch on Instagram at shoparch, ARCHNYC. And then also our website is www.archnyc.co. Feel free to keep up with us on there. We're going to keep dropping. After the summer drop, things are going to be super consistent and you're going to see newness all the time. So lock in with us. And my Instagram is at Jax Lively. If anybody wants to get on there, I'm always talking to people, answering questions if you have any. That's JAXLIVELY. But that's about it. That's it from me. That's it from Arch. Keep a lookout for us. Continue to support Black-owned businesses.
Can you spell your Instagram one more time? You said JAX.
My personal Instagram is JAXLIV as in Victor ELY.
Got it. I just followed you. Perfect.
Awesome. I'll follow you back when we wrap up. But thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this. I miss podcasting. I had a podcast in New York with two of my friends, and I loved it. And I love your segments. I love your questions. This is great.
Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad that we got a chance to talk. I love that you was able to share a lot about your journey, especially from a footwear standpoint, because I get a lot of people who talk about apparel, and apparel's more of my world, but I love hearing about, I interviewed a girl who did eyewear the other, one of my last podcasts. I love us Black girls tapping into all these different categories, and there being a category for all of us, whether it's eyewear, whether it's shoes, whether it's clothes. I just love all this Black girl magic. It really makes my day. It's everything for me. That's why I do this podcast, outside of my day-to-day, my regular business or whatever. I'm outside of this podcast just to share knowledge and experience and just help the next Black girl. And I have a non-for-profit, if you're ever interested. It's called the Black Girls Designer Club. We do brunches and we offer mentorship to girls ages 6 to 22. We do a lot of different programs. The summer programs, I have an after-school program for at-risk high school teens. We teach them fashion business and how to create their own lines and stuff. So we have girls in other cities too. I have a mentor in girls in Texas and in Miami. So we're not just here in New York. We are based here, but we're looking for people like yourself that can help the young generation of young women, Black women, of course, just be amazing designers and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely keep me posted on that. I would love to chat more about that. But no, it sounds like everything that you're doing is amazing. Thank you so much for this platform and continuing, to give Black girls a voice to even share their stories.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So as I always say, guys, stay Black. Peace out. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Jazmin. I'll definitely be in contact with you, and I'll let you know when this episode drops next week.